Greetings and happy 2013 to you from readthestars.com. I'm Judy Vitale here to tell you about what you can expect in the year ahead, the whole year. Well, I like to take the different ways that we look at astrology and break them down into the units that we deal with as human beings, and the year certainly is an important one. In some ways, it's just a turn of the calendar, it's a new month, but let's just look at also what's going on in terms of what we'll look back on and say, in 2013, I did this. Well, for starters, it isn't going to be as complicated or as devastating as the last 2 years have been, at least not in terms of the outer planets. We don't have any big changes in the outer planets outside of Jupiter moving from Gemini to Cancer, and that's going to happen in the summertime. We'll give you the exact date in a moment, but the rest of it, everybody's just kind of staying very much in the signs that they were in. We don't have to get used to these huge shifts this time. So that is a gift in and of itself. So my recommendation is that we take what we have assimilated or had to take in over the last 2 years and come to deal with it. Step up to the plate if you've been inspired to do what you were supposed to do, rather than thinking about it, complaining why it's so difficult, and just, any kind of negative energy that you're putting out there, just push it aside and try to move forward. It isn't going to be easy. It's not a cakewalk. We're in the middle of a very big change thanks to the square between Uranus and Pluto, which is going to continue all the way through the beginning of 2015. The dates this year when Uranus and Pluto are going to square one another off, meaning that there's this great big violent kind of need for change, will be May 20th and November 11th at 11 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries and Capricorn, and at 9 degrees of those two signs. So if also you happen to be a Libra or a Cancer, you're going to feel this very strongly. Also, though, on May the 20th, we're going to have Jupiter in a quincunx with Saturn. Now, quincunx is a strange aspect because the two planets don't really relate to one another. They kind of rub up against one another, and that is what's going to be going on then. So again, overall, pretty calm. That's the big deal. We're just going to have to come to learn to deal with these big changes that are going on. We have some eclipses. In April, we're going to have a lunar eclipse. In May, we'll have a solar eclipse in Taurus. The lunar one in April is in Scorpio. Then the eclipse will move on into Sagittarius, going back forward actually, on May 25th and October 18th. Both of these eclipses are very, very weak. The one on October 18th is in Aries, and they're very weak eclipses, but that one especially on October 18th is going to affect Eastern Canada, the United States, Europe, Asia, etc. And then the last one of the year on November 3rd is also in Scorpio at 11 degrees of Scorpio, so that degree 11 comes up again. And that just basically means if you're born somewhere around like the 11th or 10th or 12th of the month, depending on the sign, that you're going to feel this very heavily. It's going to be all over the eastern part of North America and into South America, into Europe and Africa, except for Cape Town. That's a pretty big one. So that's definitely going to be the biggest eclipse that we deal with this year. We have a Venus retrograde on December 21st. And we have, of course, our Mercury retrograde periods, which will be February 23rd to March 17th, and that's in the sign of Pisces. June 26th to July 20th in the sign of Cancer. October. See, I'm talking about Mercury retrograde, and it's got me already. October 21st until November 10th, that's in Scorpio. And again, in case you're not familiar, Mercury retrograde is a time when communications become difficult. It's a bad time to deal with transportations, automotives, communications, computers, broadcasting, all those sorts of things have a little bit more work behind them, and we find out what flaws we have in our ways of doing them while Mercury is in retrograde. So the month of January looks pretty good. We'll cover that in another video. But the rest of the year, again, easy, not too crazy. There is one great big moment that everybody's going to be talking about, but to be honest, the last times I've seen this happen, there hasn't really been that much external action. It's much more internal, what we're taking in on a spiritual level. And that's a grand sextile that's going to take place on July the 29th. And it's going to include, let's see, the earth and water signs. So we have Capricorn with Pluto and Capricorn. It's going to be opposing Jupiter and Mars, okay? But also to fill out the sextile, we'll have Venus in Virgo, Venus in Virgo, Saturn in Scorpio, and Neptune in Aries, and the moon will be there in Taurus, but that's not so much involved in it, I don't believe. So yes, it is. It is involved in it. It's going to be opposed to Saturn. So although it's a grand sextile and it sounds like it's going to be this great, wonderful thing, there are a lot of oppositions in there too. So I look at it as like a point where we stop and consider where we're going. So, you know, that time right there at the end of July, look at that as a time to assess. It's a good time too. You're halfway through the year. Look back, see where you've been, and then where you're going. So we also have retrogrades of the other planets, which we will talk about as the year goes along. I don't want to make this video so long no one wants to watch it. And if you have questions, or if you want to have a private video reading, go to readthestars.com and contact me at judy@readthestars.com. You can get a reading, not just for even the year ahead, whatever questions you have to ask me. I will read your chart for 5 minutes to 7 minutes and talk about what's going on in your life. $19.95 is the price. You pay me through PayPal or a check if that's better for you. And again, it's Judy, Judi, at readthestars.com. Happy New Year.